Here's something that's gonna kind of capture you, and that is the concept that simply dancing is not going to get you back in shape. And by that, what I mean is that you've been taught this whole time that dancing and simply dancing is all that you needed to be ready for a stage, to be ready for your performances 8 times a week. You've been brought up on the understanding that yes, some training outside, some minor things are necessary, but mostly what you need to spend the time doing is rehearsing, working on your dance, spending time in the studio. And the problem with that is that right now, you cannot do that. And by doing that, by doing the same things, the idea that in order to get better at that, you have to continue doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, makes sense in an outdated version of what strength, in an outdated mindset of what strength and conditioning, what strength for the body is, and development of the body as a mobile tool, right? When you really think about what your body needs in order to get stronger and in order to get more mobile, more flexible, more able to move and absorb and create power and direct force, is not just develop the skill, which is where your dance rehearsal camp comes in, but develop the ability for your muscles to react, the ability for you to move properly, the ability for you to absorb and understand how you're supposed to be doing these things from a motor perspective, from how your body is actually functioning. The way you're gonna do that is by actually giving your body those kind of movements, that kind of strength, the stimulus or the stress that it needs outside of dance, outside of dancing, outside of that kind of movement, but in a more isolated and in a more specified way for you. This comes from an industry mindset, an old industry mindset that has been there for years and years and years and years, and no one has been able to really change that, right? We're still living under that, and even coming back into what theater is going to be now, there's this still like conversation about safety. To me, it seems crazy to think that an industry so socially, culturally, and historically rich as the one that is theater and acting does not have the fundamental baseline as to how to take care of their artists, as to how they're supposed to prepare their artists, right? You consider them athletes, you consider yourself artists and athletes, yet you only say so and you don't behave like that. As the industry feeds you that same image, that same concept, you abide by it and you stay with it, and it's not your fault as an artist because you claim you want it more, you look to become better prepared, and you don't know better as you're growing up as to what you should be doing, and you expect the industry to tell you this is the steps to get ready, these are the steps you're supposed to be doing in order to make it and be able to last. This conversation about safety that, although it is very important to have, it should be something that you should have had a long time ago. It should have been a conversation from a long time ago. And this goes beyond just the idea that we're going back from COVID pandemic and how are we gonna take care of ourselves? How are we gonna assimilate this whole change? And how are the producers and the industry going to take care of all the dancers, all the performers, all the singers? It should be a conversation that should have had a long time ago in terms of like, the industry should be doing all this, the union should be doing all this to prepare the athlete and the artist from ground up, from not just safety perspective in terms of like COVID, but also safety in terms of your body. How do you feel? How you treat your body? How you prepare your body? That also falls under safety, under how are you supposed to like manage your body and survive and be fit and be safe, performing all this time over and over and over and over again. Creating those demands for your body sometimes tends to overload, especially if you don't know how you're supposed to react, how your body is supposed to take all that in. If you just throw it all on there, your body is going to create compensations. Your body is going to create ways of making you get there. You will get there. You will achieve the ultimate goal of performing. There's no way you're not going to perform. You're going to get it done, but at what cost for your body? And so what I'm trying to say here is that we need to reframe that perspective and get you away from thinking that all I need to do is dance, all I need to do is my group fitness classes, or you just go in the gym and do a couple of things here and there that are generic, and still start to think about, if you're so concerned about COVID and how specific they have to be about that, why is your body not something you're thinking about as well in that sense, right? It's not just the whole idea of the pandemic, you've been dealing with your body as a safety, something to be taken care of, as a tool that should be taken care of from a long time ago. And now focusing on taking the perspective of only focusing on what COVID is really, yes, a start for a conversation, and yes, a start that should be something that should be addressed, but also it should also be taken into account that that is one thing of multiple things that you should be also doing and addressing, which is how to take care of your body, how to prepare for your performances before. We're talking about months before, weeks before. How does that start to progress as you get close to your performance? How do you now give your body the recovery that it needs during performance time, right? You're not gonna train the same way you were training before your performance to when you are actually performing. And how do you give your body that as you're touring, if you're in a tour, as you're on a cruise, if you're in a boat? How do you do that? How do you give your body all those things? Which is where growing up under the umbrella of dance, only give you dance to the pain, all that kind of stuff, comes wrong, and that's longer, right? And that's, again, it doesn't come down to you for us, like your fault. It comes down to the lack of information that the industry has fed you as you grew up, right? The lack of information that a lot of these companies and a lot of these really established schools and programs still don't value in preparing you as an athlete and as a dancer, or as an athlete and an actor and an athlete and a singer, to be able to last longer, to be able to perform, and to be able to maintain a balanced health and performance life. An awareness of what your body is capable of and what your body needs as you perform and as you maintain this kind of rigorous lifestyle of performing on stage over and over again. Unfortunately, you've been taught to value the performance before everything. Value performance before pain, before aches, before literally family, if in some cases. And you have to value the performance, and that comes before it all. It has to continue, it has to get done. Unfortunately, theater is a very aesthetic driven by an image, by an old mindset image industry. And you grew up in that, and you've been fed that, and a lot of people grew up thinking about that and devaluing themselves and the standards to which they hold themselves in order to fit this image, in order to fit this aesthetic. And their training as artists and as performers follows this regimen of aesthetics, of fitting a particular image, rather than following what their body needs in order to make their performance, their talents get better, in order for them to be able to perform at the peak that they want to perform and expose and showcase their talents, their skill, and their characters as they're on stage.